Hello again, off the top. Do you agree or disagree? 3 topics, 2 minutes each. Anything goes. There are no taboos. Many people think the topic of adult movies is taboo, but we have to address it now. A group in Los Angeles has collected the required signatures to get a measure on the ballot that would require adult actors to wear condoms at all movies shot in the state of California. How do you vote? A coalition known as For Adult Industry Responsibility wants to tie film permits into requiring actors wear condoms on the set. It's state law now, but not widely enforced. Members of the adult industry are against it.
If such a regulation were to be on the books, the only impact that would have is that it would drive production out of state or underground, and it would actually create a less safe instead of a more safe environment.
So, should the adult industry regulate itself, or should the public make the rules? Joining us to talk about that, Doctor of Social Ethics, Charlotte Laws. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. Charlotte, is this issue something the public should vote on?
No, they shouldn't. And I actually agree with what the quote you had earlier. It definitely will drive business out of the city and out of the state. Currently, in the state of California, there are about 12,000 jobs that we get because of the porn industry. And tax-wise, it brings the state about $36 million. In fact, LA is #1 in this country for porn. San Francisco is #5. San Diego is #8. And the United States in general is the 4th in the whole world when it comes to adult entertainment. China's first, South Korea, then Japan, and then the United States. And it's a huge industry. I mean, it's a very important industry because 1 out of every 4 searches on the internet are for porn. And people that go into this industry know that it's a buyer beware job. It's like being a lion tamer or a police officer or going into the military. It's a dangerous job. And if you don't want to assume that danger, then you shouldn't do it.
Well,
but the customer wants to see porn without condoms. That's what they want to see.
All right, here's what we've learned so far. You obviously conduct a great number of internet searches to find out that information. Secondly, though, there is always a concern about the outbreak of AIDS, and the public is concerned about that. But I'm not so sure that whether you watch adult movies or not, you, the public, should make the determination on what should happen in the movies. You have the option of not watching them.
Well, that's absolutely true. And there are no statistics that show the HIV numbers are higher for those in the adult entertainment industry. So there is nothing that shows that. Now, with respect to other venereal disease and other types of diseases, yes, it's about 20% higher. So there are statistics to support that, but not HIV. So, yeah, I agree with you, Fred. I don't think we should be voting on this. And I don't even understand how you enforce in this particular industry. It doesn't really make any sense to me. How do you do that? You have public officials sitting around watching porn movies trying to determine if someone's wearing a condom, and then how do you arrest somebody? How do you know where that movie originated?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right. All right. Well, we know how you feel about that. Let's see how you feel about this. When it comes to smoking pot, things can become a little hazy. First, Prop 215 allowed medical marijuana dispensaries to be open. Then the LA City Council determined there were too many and voted to limit the number and regulate where they could be placed. Now an appeals court has ruled the city can't do that. Now what do? City Councilman Jose Huizar says the new plan should be to shut them all down. If we can't regulate them, if we can't control them, get rid of them. Huizar is concerned that pot shops will pop up on every corner. Medical marijuana advocates think that's insanity and believes there is something the city can do besides shutting everything down. Does Huizar have a point, or is there another way, Charlotte?
I don't agree with Huizar on this. What he wants to do is he wants to ban them until the California Supreme Court makes a decision, which could be 6 months to 2 years from now, about how much control localities have on this particular issue. But banning them makes no sense because, first of all, there are people who have chronic illness and pain who really need medical marijuana. They need to be able to get it. It's not that easy to cultivate on your own and to grow it in a proper way. And all this is going to do is drive them underground. They're going to go back to the drug dealers, back to the gang members. The drug dealers are going to go into the schools, and then there's going to be more crime. And currently, these dispensaries, they do not have an increase of crime associated with dispensaries. And I'm on a local council, on the Greater Valley Glen Council, and my council doesn't like these medical marijuana dispensaries, so they're always looking to associate it with crime. And police officers come to our meetings, and they're always asking, is there a crime associated? Because they're hoping the answer is yes. And every police officer over all these years has said, no, There is not. But with respect to the ordinance that that the LA City Council passed on this issue, I don't like the fact that they limited the number of dispensaries. There were about 800 or so in the city. Then they decided, oh no, we're only going to have about 80.
But you know why. But you know why they did that, Charlotte. I mean, you're aware of the fact that they limited that number because they were of the impression, and probably rightfully so, these were not all collectives supplying medical marijuana. It was basically walking to a pot shop and buying enough to roll a couple of joints. And that wasn't the intention of this originally.
I know, but I think that happens anyway now, a lot of the time. And I don't think that limiting the number has anything to do with how many people are cheating the system, per se. But it's like the city council was basically picking winners. They're saying, okay, you guys can make a lot of money, and the other business is too bad. We need to employ people right now. We don't need to have a whole bunch of people with a lot of money and everybody else with no money. And because these businesses don't advertise, it's not like you drive down the street and say, oh, look at all the pot shops. You have to seek them out to find them. There's like no signage on these places.
Charlotte, I understand people need jobs, but they don't have to be employed as pot dealers. I mean, you can't use that argument. You cannot use that argument. Well, the reason we need all these pot shops is because people are unemployed.
But
let them sell pot.
Do you think there are more people that are going to do medical marijuana if there are more shops? I don't think it makes any difference whether one shop gets a lot of business or lots of shops get a little business.
I agree. All right. Talking about people that are out of work and need jobs, the Occupy movement around the country may not have accomplished much other than showing the approach of police departments in different cities. In Oakland, police told people to leave, and when they didn't, they made them leave. They used force and rubber bullets. On the campus of UC Davis, police calmly walked down the line and fired pepper spray into people's faces to get them to move. And in Los Angeles, city officials gave occupiers plenty of notice. Police did the same. There were over 200 arrests, but no violence. The mayor and police chief held a news conference to talk about the wonderful job they did. Steve Lopez of the LA Times thought that was absurd. Absurd they trumpeted the fact they did their job well, and it was a waste of time and taxpayers' money. Do you like the way the city handled the situation, Charlotte, and do they deserve to take a bow?
Well, somebody needs to occupy the mayor's brain, but I'm just kidding. I'm glad that it was peaceful, but I don't agree on lots of levels. The main thing I don't agree with was the fact that these people were allowed to have an exemption and stay there for 2 months.
Well, that's just the city council posturing, as they always do.
And the mayor.
And the mayor, that's fair.
I know, but it's a problem now because, we've set a precedent. So if the neo-Nazis want to be there for 2 months and spend the night, they pretty much are going to have to say yes. If the anti-illegal immigration people want to be there for 2 months, they're going to have to say yes. And the reason why they shouldn't have done this is because in 1984, the U.S. Supreme Court said that public officials need to be content neutral. So when something like this happens, they can say, oh, sure, anybody can protest from 8 to 5, but they can't be saying, oh, we love Occupy LA people. You can spend the night for 2 months. But neo-Nazis, no. You better be there from 8 to 5, and then you better go home. They can't be doing that, or there are going to be lawsuits against the city, and the taxpayer is going to have to pay the cost of that.
And that's really the issue. Now the taxpayers, you have a bunch of people complaining they don't like the system, and they say it's their right to camp out. The city allowed them to do so. Now you, I, and all the taxpayers are paying for the people that don't like the system.
Right. And I mean, I don't understand how they needed 1,700 police officers for less than 300 protesters. That is about 5 to 6 officers per person. I don't understand why they needed to spend over $1 million on this. And as I said, if they didn't stay for 2 months, I don't think they would have spent that kind of money on it. So, I understand people have a right to protest, and I support that. I even support many of the aims of this particular movement. Not all of them, but some of them. And so I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with the exception and going overboard, and the city council kind of sucking up to them and going, oh, yes, we love you. And the mayor saying, yes, we love you, stay forever. I think that's a big problem, and I do think we've set a really bad precedent now.
And it is a precedent, I'm sure, that will be tested throughout time. Charlotte, nice job. Always good talking to you. I'll talk to you again.
Okay.
All right.
I believe that our education, such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere such as.
Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I've said cuckoo once. I'll say it again. Cuckoo.
Yahoo! Yahoo! Abba dabba dabba doo!
Say what? Now, you ever said anything that came back to haunt you years later? We've all done it. Rick Santorum wishes he hadn't.
This is Rick Santorum. I think everybody knows nobody puts words into my mouth. The words out of my mouth were that if you want a conservative as the nominee of this party, you must vote for Mitt Romney.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
Say what? Well, the best endorsement Romney could have asked for.
What the filter?
If you're frustrated with state government, you're not alone. The people that run state government are frustrated with it. Governor Jerry Brown recently said, "We're doing a lot, and it's at a level of complexity that mere mortals most of the time don't understand. And it's mostly experts that give us our talking points, and then we talk our points. So they talk the talk, they have no idea how to walk the walk, and our highest elected state official has confirmed no one knows what they're doing."
What the filter?
Actually, one person knew what they were doing, Simone Farrow. You may have seen Simone. She's an international model. She's appeared in numerous magazines, including Penthouse, and she's also accused of running an international crystal meth ring. DEA officials raided her Hollywood apartment in 2009 and found evidence. Simone hightailed it out of here, fled the country, and skipped out on $150,000 bail before being caught in Australia last week. She said she ran because she's had relationships with numerous underworld figures, and someone is trying to kill her. If you're trying to hide Simone, modeling is not the best way to do it.
What the filter?
Because in life, the true dream is to live happily ever after. Or when it comes to Ben & Jerry's, happily ever after. Those wacky ice cream guys are not afraid to share their political views. So to support gay marriage in Britain, they've changed "Oh My Apple Pie" to "Happily Ever After." Company spokesperson said people at Ben & Jerry's believe love is love and marriage should be defined by love and commitment. May they live happily ever after.
What the filter?
Now, folks in the Bay Area, let's hear it for the owner of the Golden State Warriors, Joe Lacob. Not exactly what he was expecting. There to retire the number of a former great, every time he spoke, the crowd booed.
Tonight is about two things: embracing history and respect.
They say there's a fine line between love and hate. When it comes to Joe Lacob, the crowd crossed the line.
What the filter?
Next, he's from Orange County. They know him in San Juan, and he wants to be your president. Me for the nomination, but the convention is not tomorrow. And one man who wants to keep hope alive is Fred Carter of Orange County. He is running for president and joins us on The Filter. Mr. Carter, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Fred. Great to be on the show.
Our pleasure. Now, off the top, and with all due respect, I'm sure most people are asking, who are you? Who are you, Fred Carter?
Well, I'm a 38-year Californian. I'm the only Californian running for president. I worked for 9 presidential campaigns. I'm now running myself. I was a political consultant with the Dolphin Group in Westwood for many years, and I decided to step up to the plate because I'm concerned about our country, the Republican Party, and civil rights.
Mr. Carter, now, you would not be considered the prototypical Republican. You are gay, you are Jewish, you are pro-choice. Is it safe to say not exactly what conservatives are looking for?
Well, I didn't file to be on the Mississippi ballot. I was afraid the consequences out there. But no, I'm on the California ballot on June 5th. Any Republican can vote for me. I'm one of 5 Republicans. The other 4 you're more familiar with.
But you don't sound like a Republican.
Well, I'm like the Republican Party I grew up with. And I'm a little upset with the party because it's moved so far right. And I consider myself a moderate. I've run commercials where I actually use the M word to describe myself. So many moderates have left the Republican Party. We're a minority party. We need to open it up to a big tent to include all philosophies, but some basic core principles, and I'm trying to bring that Republican Party back.
You know, I think you have to feel heartened by the fact that you finished ahead of Ron Paul in the Puerto Rico primary. Now, we have a look at the campaign ad that put you over the top.
¿Está cansado de los candidatos republicanos postulados para la presidencia? Hay un candidato que te va a gustar. Fred Roggin es un republicano independiente. Él tiene el mejor plan de trabajos para Puerto Rico. Su plan renovará el espíritu de los americanos y apoyará a los estados. Envíe un mensaje al Partido Republicano. Vote por Fred Roggin para presidente.
Soy Fred Roggin y apruebo este mensaje.
Pretty much to the point, wouldn't you say?
It is. See.
The economy is a major issue at this time, but two things you are emphasizing: legalizing pot and lowering the voting age to 16.
Consider it.
Consider it. Well, let's start with legalizing pot. Now, that goes against almost everything everybody is saying.
Well, there are a few of us who think that that's a good way to bring some revenue in and also to lessen the load on our prison system, which in California we're having a disaster with. Those are not my top two issues to reform the economy, though. I have a Jobs Now program on fredcarger.com, my website, with some action steps to put America back to work, to fill those 3.1 million jobs that are out there that we need to match employers and employees together. So I have a pretty solid plan to bring back this economy. But first off, I worked for Ronald Reagan for 7 years on his political team. I learned a lot from him, particularly the spirit, this optimism, and this ability to get along. And that's my #1 reason for running.
So it's safe to say you were dead serious about this. You didn't undertake this as a lark.
I don't do things without a tremendous amount of thought. I spent 27 years as a consultant. I had a double life during those 27 years. I've always been gay. I always had very healthy gay life on the side, but I kept that very secret from my professional career. And as I retired 8 years ago and became very active on Proposition 8 and gay civil rights and a gay activist, I came out of the closet, and I want to send a very strong message to a lot of people in the country, if they're younger, if they're older, that you can do anything you want if you're gay. So that is kind of an underlying reason for this run for president. But I'm very serious. I think I would make an excellent chief executive. I think I'd do better than Obama. He had no experience. He was a community organizer. I've worked on 9 presidential campaigns. I've worked with the federal government, but I've always been an outsider. So I think someone who's run a business like I have, who've always balanced the books, we've never went into debt. When times are good, we would hire more people, take additional office space. When times weren't, we would cut our salaries, we would lay people off, and government needs to adapt that same kind of principle.
Fred Roggin, presidential candidate from Laguna Beach, thank you so much for being with us. Good luck.
Fred Roggin, thank you.
I'll tell you, California schools could use Carger's budget balancing skills to save some programs. Ted Chen brings us the sweet sounds of the Harmony Project on this edition of the Filter Reports.
Anyone who's ever put drumsticks in a child's hands knows there's something about music that gets kids going, which is why every Saturday the Harmony Project gets everyone together at a high school gym in Lenox to rock out. Newcomers play alongside more experienced children. The program attracts big-time musicians like the jazz band Hiroshima and Diane Louie, who's worked with Stevie Wonder and Snoop Dogg and is the supervising orchestrator for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
This is the greatest travesty in the world to be cutting out forms of expression, human expression, cutting out arts, cutting out all the ways that we take care of the non-physical parts of our lives.
Nothing's been cut yet, but the Harmony Project is one potential victim of LAUSD's $390 million budget deficit. The kids dressed in white are LAUSD kids, among them friends and cello players Mariana Perez and Dorothy Lucy.
After school, we always like to do things, and we like to learn new things. Something really special to play while you're this age. It could make you a really success, and it's really fun, and I think it's not good to cut it because it's a really educational thing kids could do.
Today's special guests were a World Orphans Choir, which included children from Peru, El Salvador, Nigeria, and Liberia. Advocates say these are the children that need music the most, the ones most often thrown off life's rhythms, needing a chance to find their own.
It was Ted Chen reporting. Good luck getting around California this weekend. Rain Saturday and Sunday in San Francisco, showers Sunday in San Diego, and a chance of rain lingers till Monday for Los Angeles. And to sing about it, it's the choir from Valley Beth Shalom. Keep the rainbows by the door, for tomorrow is made more. Wear your boots and all your gear, clouds may stay. you to be a part of the conversation. Remember, The Filter works 24/7. Email us at thefilter@nbcuni.com. Find us on Facebook, NBC Filter. Same goes for Twitter, NBC Filter. That's our program. We'll see you next time.